Hey everybody, what's going on? Rob Cesternino back once again for our episode 11 recap of Deal or No Deal Island as we get ready for 1 week from tonight to find out the answers to who's getting eliminated from the maze and who will be the winner of Deal or No Deal Island. Here to talk about tonight's episode, Jenny Autumn, DONDI?
DONDI!
DONDI.
It's a cliffhanger. I'm stressed, but I like lobster, and I'm also into reminiscing. Unlike
Yes.
unlike,
We'll do it. We'll do it if we
Rob,
have to.
so,
Sure.
yeah.
Sure. We're fine. Okay.
It's fine.
All right. Back here with us, of course, to talk about it all. It's Chappell. Chappell, how are you?
DONDI! Yes. Listen, I'm good. I'm feeling good. And I'm nervous. You know, we got our first like real cliffhanger of an episode. We thought we were gonna see some things, get some answers to some questions, but we have to come back next week to get all of that information. And so I'm very excited to talk to y'all about what we did see so we can speculate about what we might see next time.
Chappell, I got your text right before we came on. I don't have my readers on though. Why are you talking about that? You had blue bells after the episode tonight. What does that? What does that even mean?
Was that me? Did I send that to you? I'm sorry.
Rob, we gotta get you some new readers.
I gotta get somebody to show me how to make the font bigger so I can. Maybe it wasn't you. Maybe
it might not have even been Chappell.
Might have been David Bloomberg. Not have been
yeah, exactly.
It sounds like something David Bloomberg would say.
Okay, all right. We've got a lot to talk about here tonight. So definitely some things to talk about tonight, as there was a very big controversial moment from the episode as Boston Rob gets penalized at the Final Four challenge. And at this hour, we do not know what the fate of Boston Rob is. We'll talk about all that and get ready for next week's finale of Deal or No Deal Island. Okay, but first, we have some exciting news to talk about actually here tonight. And so let me go ahead and tell you something very important.
Breaking news are happening now.
So all season long on Tuesdays, Chappell has been bringing you a Deal or No Deal exit interviews and has been talking with all of the cast, doing a great job all season long. But tomorrow, no exit interview. We don't have somebody eliminated. So we will have a special podcast coming up on Tuesday with, checks notes. Is this right? Host of Deal or No Deal Island, Joe Manganiello.
DONDI!
Should you grab your readers and make sure you actually read that right?
Yes,
and we're actually talking to him tomorrow?
Make sure that's correct, Sam. Confirm with NBC that Joe Manganiello will join us on the podcast as we preview the finale. Very exciting to have that happen coming up tomorrow. So we'll save some of our finale preview for that conversation with Joe as we talk about what's going to happen. All right, let's cut to the chase right now. Is Boston Rob getting eliminated?
My gut does not feel good, and I don't know, maybe I ate too many lobster tails like Rob was indulging. I don't know. I went back and forth on this, and then there's something I went to at the end of the episode. I'm reading the edit. You know me. I'm over analyzing, probably to a fault on some things, because we've got all through the episode, all through the maze portion, the spliced confessionals here and there. I'm like, how do they seem? What's the mood? What's the vibe? And there's two things here where I'm kind of struggling, and so we should definitely talk it out. I feel like Amy's energy was a little low in her confessionals, which she could still beat Rob back and be eliminated by having the lowest amount. So that's a possible explanation if I think that she feels a little bit down in her confessionals.
Right.
And in Rob's confessionals, he seems a little bit better, like a little bit higher energy. There's one confessional near the end where he's talking about how I think it was like the down 28-3.
Oh,
against
what a
Atlanta.
great line from Boston Rob to come up with that on the spot of
Yeah.
the down in the Super Bowl, the classic
He
Patriots
knows.
Falcons Super Bowl. I mean, a great sports reference for Boston Rob to pull out.
And I mean, he's been doing it all season, so obviously he's going to make that reference, right? But he had like his shirt off. I don't know if you noticed that. He had the backwards hat, like everything about his look in that. I'm telling you, I take this seriously, Rob.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm weird. He everything about him looked the way he did during the challenge, except for no shirt. And then there were other confessionals earlier on where he's wearing a shirt. So I'm like, I'm piecing things together.
Is no shirt good or is no shirt bad?
No shirt.
No shirt, Sherlock.
No shirt might just mean like he just ran the marathon of his life and he did it. And he's like, shirt off. Let's do the confessional
like Hulkamania,
now.
rips the shirt off.
Because I mean, he ends the episode saying, "Don't count your boy out."
Whoa.
He's been known to get lucky from time to time, and he seems high energy saying this. Shirt off, everything else about his look looks the same as the challenge. So to me, I'm like, did he beat Amy in the maze, rips the shirt off and grabs the producer and says, "Let's do the confessional now. I want to do it now." And then the other thing, sorry.
Hey,
I know
we're doing it live.
We'll do it live, yeah. And the other thing I wanted to point to that I don't know if it means anything, but the last thing before we cut to the end is Joe says, "Here comes someone now. Looks like it's," and then it's like, cliffhanger, ultra drama. Let's be real. The hedges of this maze is really high. Could he have even seen Amy coming? She's real short,
point.
guys.
That's a good point. All right, let me get Chappell's take on this. Okay,
that's where I'm at.
All right, so Jenny, the needle is pointing towards Rob gets through, maybe, and also survives elimination.
I don't know that part, but I think there's a part of
because two of these people are going to get eliminated.
Exactly, right? Like
it's
Jordan
not just Rob or Amy. Yeah,
Jordan or Stephanie could still be eliminated here. It might not be just both of them, but I don't know.
Yeah, and Rob could beat Amy in the race and then have the lowest case also.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's hard to say.
Okay, Chappell, what is your read of the situation?
Man, I feel bad because Jenny did all this investigative journalism, and I'm like, I just watched the episode and I got the vibe.
Give me the vibes.
Yeah, but in my mind, the vibes weren't good. The vibe was giving me like, this dire era that he only made because, well, he's Rob and he's done all these other shows where you can make those, you can do that, you can look at people's puzzles, all that kind of stuff. It's like Boston Rob has Boston robbed his way through the entire season, and it's only fitting that, he lives by the sword and dies by the sword. Like that's kind of the energy I'm getting, because now he's really just got to will his way through this. He has to be faster than Amy, and he has to be more accurate than her as well when it comes to the amount of money he gets in one of these briefcases. And it's just the odds are against him. Now, does he pull it off? Maybe. Like we could definitely come back here next week and just be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe he did it," and that would be very Boston Rob-esque. But I also think that it's highly unlikely, because it looked like that lead that Amy and the rest of the girls had on Rob it was too big. It was just like, how is he going to make up this time? I just don't see it.
So I actually feel like that I felt good about Rob just in the foot race part of it, because there's that great moment where Amy's like, "There's only 3 cases.
We got him all."
Yeah. And he's like, "You can trust me or not, but that's it." And he goes in, and then that he gets the other case, and that Amy has sworn on her kids. And he says, "Hey, kids, if you're watching, your mom does not care." It's a great moment. And so I just feel like in this foot race, I gotta think Rob is getting back. I mean, Amy did not have that big of a lead. She's so winded. Rob, I know he's got nothing left in the tank, but I just think out of sheer will, he's gonna beat Amy in the foot race. But the question that I'm left with is, if Boston Rob is safe, do you end the episode here? That's my big thing, because I kind of feel like, based on what I saw on the screen, I feel like it looks good for Rob, but I'm just left with the question, if Boston Rob makes it to the finale, do you just finish this challenge today and then set up Rob versus whoever else in the finale in the next episode? Because if I don't have Boston Rob in the finale, are my viewers watching the finale if Boston Rob gets eliminated at the end of this episode?
That's a very good point, and something I thought of as I realized that this is how it was going to go down. And I was like, if you're going to lose Rob in the final hour, why not? Did we not even talk about this? I feel like last week where we said like there could be a cliffhanger and Rob might just make it to the end by virtue of getting this far, and because why not have him on all of your episodes in some way if you can?
Because
so
I also add, it was not exactly like episode 11 was so jam-packed we couldn't fit in the conclusion to this challenge.
Fair.
But if there's not going to be like, I don't know if there's going to be no game, don't you want some sort of cliffhanger? I guess some sort of excitement, maybe.
Well, I know none of the other episodes ended on a cliffhanger other than Aaron was going to have a sleepover with the banker, and also was Aaron going to quit the game.
Right.
But all the other episodes ended like the conclusion of no other episode ended on like the outcome of a challenge, or like, oh, did they beat the banker or not? Tune in next week. That's not how the show has been for 11 episodes. So that's why I think it looks a little bleak for Rob.
Yeah.
Just because of where they chose to have the cliffhanger.
So because they didn't show Rob complete it looks bleak, because they would have shown Rob complete it so that we know that Rob is in the last episode.
I think that our storyline would be, can Rob finish the job? Assuming you're a Boston Rob fan, and from the feedback I get from a majority of the listeners, that is how they are feeling. With all due respect to everybody else who's competing on the show, that I think that's probably the audience wants to see Rob compete. If you eliminate Rob at the end of episode 11, maybe there's a fear. Okay, maybe people don't want to tune in next week to see. Is Amy or Jordan going to win it out?
Right.
Yeah. I'd say that maybe. I mean, that's the thing. You don't eliminate Rob at the end of the episode.
We'll be there. Even if Boston Rob gets eliminated at the start of
you're going to be there?
I'm not
turning
the show off. I won't turn the show off. I'll watch the whole thing.
You did say you were going to quit when he was gone. So.
I did say that, but if he's going to, and that's why maybe they heard me. Maybe they're like,
they re-edited it.
We can't lose Cesternino now.
Look,
he's come this far.
I just feel like you don't eliminate Rob at the end of episode 11, but you don't necessarily have to show that he got eliminated at the end either, right? Like, so showing him is a no-no. You don't show him get eliminated, because then people will literally say, I'm not coming next week. But the idea that he could have been eliminated, the cliffhanger still gets you to go. Even if they show Rob making it, you're still got to show up for the last episode because you're a Rob fan. So I feel like the only thing you don't do, the only cardinal sin, is showing him get eliminated, because then people don't even have to tune in next week to see if he makes it. So I feel like I'm gonna hold out hope that maybe it's a positive outcome.
Look, if Boston Rob does get eliminated here, that I just hope that the fans do the right thing and set up a GoFundMe to make sure that Boston Rob gets, that it would only be fair. Like he deserves it. The fans could all chip in and make sure he gets something. And at the very least, they could put him back on Survivor 50. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Get him out here campaighning with the rest of them.
Come on.
Come on.
Throw this guy a bone.
Yeah. Look at he literally carried
Bring him back for Deal or No Deal Island too.
Make him the banker. Maybe Rob is the banker. Maybe that's why he can't make it. Because that's one thing we haven't really talked about. They lied to us. They told us we were going to meet the banker in this episode. We did not meet the banker. I don't know who the banker is still.
Yeah. We speculated a lot last week about who the banker was going to be. Based on the shoes. And we got no clues about the banker tonight.
They straight lied to us. They literally were just like, hey, next week we're gonna meet the banker meets its ultimate opponent. And I'm like, okay, bet. So the moment we finished watching it, like I was like, okay, bet. I'm gonna watch this immediately. The second it was on, and I'm telling you, I was like, wait a minute. They tricked me. I don't like this at all. So not only are they holding this Boston Rob carrot over my head, but they're also doing the same thing with the banker. They're saving all their tricks for the last episode.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, I don't know if that bodes well. It's like, okay, you didn't get Boston Rob, but we do have a banker. It's like, it's not good enough. I kind of need Boston Rob in this finale.
But if If the finale is going to be mostly just this final game of Deal or No Deal, which I feel like we've all been on the same page about that being, for the most part, not necessarily the most exciting part of the show.
But I do think it's going to be exciting when somebody is playing the
getting the
Deal
money,
or No
yes.
Deal to actually get the money as
That's
opposed to just
true.
beat the banker.
Yeah, and like putting money into the pot and all of that. But maybe there's only so much that they can fill that final episode with. I don't know how we get from the 2 to the final person.
Yeah.
So that's probably going to be some sort of other challenge. But I think that I could argue either way that you do a cliffhanger here, whether you lose Rob or not, because of the investment of him as a character, and make people stressed about whether he's going to be there or not. So that, just build up anticipation for the finale no matter what. Because I'm incredibly stressed because the thing is like, if we ended this episode, feeling guaranteed that Rob is one of the final 2, I think that we're thinking like, oh, Rob's got this in the bag. Like, he's got one last person to like, he's gotten this far. He's got this. And I think that now, just not knowing if he even makes it to 2, there's just so much more anticipation for the finale. So I think that that's a smart move no matter what. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is I felt like the outfit of the banker that we saw, like, I could definitely see Howie Mandel in that. And I know that like that I can see that being
I thought
an
it was
outfit.
giving a little pit bull.
Oh, Mr. Worldwide.
Yes. Mr. Worldwide. Yeah.
I feel like they have like the same type of, like, if they wanted to dress up, which Mr. Worldwide does it all the time, but I think Howie could pull it off too. I had the same exact thought that Jenny had for sure.
Yeah. Now I need like the Venn diagram of Howie Mandel and Mr. Worldwide, Pitbull. And I don't know what's happening in the middle of it, but I would love to find the similarities between these 2 humans because that's delightful to me.
Yeah. And it's like, so we talked it through several times, but it only makes sense for the banker to be Howie Mandel because he's the only thing that we know about Deal or No Deal Island. About Deal or No Deal that we can even tie this to.
Then explain to me all the years that Howie Mandel hosted Deal or No Deal and talked to the banker.
Yeah,
it make sense.
He's like, that was a different banker. It's like Doctor Who.
He like
took over. He took over. He's
like the Dread Pirate Roberts that you guys don't know about.
Sorry, Rob.
Yeah, I don't. What is that?
What if he's just? What if we're just creating some new lore about Deal or No Deal? And like the answer is that all of those years, Howie Mandel was talking to himself on the phone.
Wow.
There was no one on the other line, and he just like there was a fake person up in the booth with the silhouette, and he wanted to come off as the nice guy, and really,
Jenny, I can believe a lot of things. Now you expect me to believe that Howie Mandel and Joe Manganiello are like not actually talking to somebody on the phone when they're picking up the phone?
Listen, I know that every time you've gotten phone calls during podcasts, it's truly been another person on the line. So that is a crazy speculation to make, but it's possible. We're adding to the lore. It's always been Howie.
All right. Well, next week we'll find out the answer to that. Who is the banker? We'd love to hear we'll love to see in the comments if anybody else has any additional picks about who the banker could be. Yeah. Let's circle back to a very controversial moment from this episode where we had the moment where I'm sure everybody's talking about tonight where, okay, we have this puzzle and then how many cases got added to the Banker's Temple over the course of the season, and everybody has to do it, and they all have to come up with this 2-digit number. Rob's like trying to count it out, and that's edited very well, and then sort of gets like lost in the sauce a little bit. Amy ends up getting it first. There's a moment earlier in the episode where Joe's explaining the rules, and then we get sort of like in confessional, Rob saying that he's like looking around. I don't know if he's like looking around for like a clue to something while Joe's explaining the rules. But Amy goes into the maze, and Rob looks over. Joe blows the whistle. Penalty. Call on the field is that Boston Rob needs to take a penalty. And this is ultimately what this whole game is going to come down to.
My gut sank the moment that we see Rob looking around while Joe is explaining, and the confessional spliced in of him saying, I've done puzzles, I've done this, I'm looking around, I'm looking for advantages. I was like, oh, this is what's happening here. And we've seen similar ish types of things. Like, Rob played Survivor. There's lots of these sorts of like looking to see what the next people are doing situations. And so I knew it in that moment. I was like, I knew it was going to be Rob, and I knew what it was going to be. And I wanted to throw up.
And so if I could speak on Boston Rob's behalf here, so if anybody is confused in terms of the rule on Survivor, is that this happens a lot on Survivor. Jeff will often say like, totally legal. If you're allowed to look, and you see people on Survivor after they make a puzzle, they destroy it. Sometimes on Survivor, they give you a cover to put it over when it's some sort of like combination or something like this. There's oftentimes when somebody there's like 3 tribes and somebody has the puzzle completed, and both tribes are sort of starting to look at it. So Survivor, anything goes. But here on Deal or No Deal Island, it's not the same.
Yeah. They made sure to make sure we could hear that part where Joe said it. When Joe said, they zoomed in on him. So I was like, okay, that's something I need to pay attention to. And then, like Jenny said, you get the Rob confessional, and he's talking about the rules, and I'm thinking, oh no, like he's gonna mess up. And he does. He looks over at Amy's, and Joe has to just stop everything. Like, everybody stop. There's a rule break. It happens very quickly while we're watching the show, but they had to call like the producers in and stuff, because they probably have to really they probably have to really discuss like, all right, are we about to disqualify Rob from this? Like, I
thought he might have been out.
Yeah, I thought there might have been like, that's your time. Goodbye.
The only thing that kept me from freaking out that he was just done and completely disqualified at that moment was we had seen a preview, I believe, earlier in the episode. Where I saw Rob in the maze running past Amy. So I know he eventually gets to the maze, and that Amy was there. So that was the only thing that was like, okay, but why? They're not going to disqualify him completely because I saw him in the maze.
Is this
that was the only thing keeping me together.
A new talent that you've had, Jenny? Because I don't recall you having this ability with other shows that we podcast about, that I feel like you have like this amazing like photographic memory for
definitely
these
not
previews.
Photographic. No. I can be pretty detail oriented when I want to be. And I think I was just so invested.
You're so locked in on Dondi.
In this, in the story of this, the end game of it, and Rob's gone this far.
Yeah.
Like, I'm invested in seeing it play out for him. Like, he's had so many close calls. So I think I was just very tuned in on whether he was going to make it through. So that was the one thing that was like, okay, I know that they at least let him get into the maze, but they had to have gone through and said, like, how do we apply, like, how do we make up what the penalty? Like, do you think they had that planned ahead?
I don't know. I think that it could be like a standards and practices issue of like, okay, what do we do? Because these game shows all have to, follow like certain laws. And I know that like in Survivor, they have like fairness judges, and I'm not sure if it's exactly the same, but I give Rob a lot of credit also, because I feel like that there are a lot of like reality people that could have just been like, hey, that's BS, and really like, fought them on it. So Rob, to his credit, said, I'm just going to have to go out there and win it. I made a mistake. My bad. And, thought he showed a lot of maturity in that moment.
Yeah. And I agree that he didn't do it on purpose. Now, we also know that there's probably a contingent of people that are watching this going, oh my God, look at Rob. They're just handing it to him. He's cheating, and they're letting him break the rules. And to all that, I say, okay, let it go. I'm sorry. Like, I feel like at some point, production has to look at the other competitors, Stephanie, Amy, Jordan, and say, what do y'all want to do? Do you want to just disqualify Rob? Because, I mean, he took a peek. I don't think it was enough time for him to study anything. Joe probably saw it immediately when it happened, and he was like, all right, Rob, that's enough, blah, blah. But, making him take the penalty, I feel like if I'm competing against Boston Rob in that moment, I'd probably be a good sport about it.
Yeah.
But I could see in a world where somebody be like, nope, I'm sorry, it's not fair. He's cheated. Take him out the game,
Look,
and put their foot down.
I would understand the other competitors feeling that way, but I feel like for the fans to call out the show on that of like, oh, Boston Rob gets to do whatever he wants, like they like he could have just gotten away with it,
Yeah, they could have just not
said
anything.
Yeah, they didn't have to make it a big part of the show about how he got a penalty that's potentially going to cost him the game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You have to imagine, like, you don't want, no one wants to do this. Like, no one wants to have a challenge go this way where they have to give someone a penalty. And so that just goes to show that they were being serious about it. They didn't want to just straight up disqualify him, but they had to come up with some sort of like equalizer to make up for the fact that all Rob needed to see was the number that Amy locked in, and then he would lock in that exact number and then be the next one into the maze. So they had to do something to ensure that like he doesn't get that advantage over Jordan and Stephanie. And I mean, it's not like he could have seen, the map was gone. The only thing that he was able to see was the number to lock that part in so they can get into the maze. Like the rest is kind of up to him. So I think given what advantage he would have gotten from what he saw, I think the way they handled it probably made the most sense. Like they still gave him an opportunity to get into the maze. It's just they had to make sure that he would go last and also not like immediately after Jordan. So they come up with this 3-minute rule because of how the time between Amy and then Stephanie going in. Is that how they did it?
I think it was the amount of time between was it Stephanie and Amy and Stephanie, or Stephanie and Jordan,
or Stephanie and Jordan, actually I think it was. So once Stephanie got into the maze, the time between when Stephanie got in and then Jordan goes in next, that was it. So that's why it was like terrible watching Jordan struggle with the numbers, because Rob is hinged on Jordan getting in there as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Because that was the number. Yeah.
It was a really funny moment when Rob is just like sitting there like in the penalty box, like waiting to go into the maze, and Joe says to him like, all right, so you understand the rules of the game, right? He's like, hey, don't get smart with me.
I love that. I love the interactions with Joe and the contestant.
We'll have to ask Joe tomorrow if him and Boston Rob have a good relationship, because I thought like that's a bold thing to do. Boston Rob is watching this game slip away from him, and Alcide from True Blood is like, ooh, what you gonna do? So yeah. Interesting move here to pick on Boston Rob, but I feel like Joe's just trying to hype him up. He's like in his corner, like, okay, I want to see some good TV. So whatever it's got to do to make Rob really just throw caution to the wind and just go head first into this challenge and just try his best to win it all. I think Joe is just kind of trying to light a fire underneath Rob's ass a little bit.
Yeah,
and we've seen him do that with other people too. And I think he
Jordan
knows that Rob is like,
I
know that he knows Rob is capable of like, once you get in there, like all bets are off. Like I know you're capable of like going ham in there. So I think that, yeah, you're right. It's just like, we have a little bit of banter here.
Okay. The episode started off with, some sadness about the departure of Aaron after last week's Chappell. You had a very fun interview with Aaron back on Tuesday.
Yes. And Aaron's interview, he's a fun person to talk to. I can definitely understand why everybody liked him on the show. And you can feel that in this episode, because it really does feel like the entire cast is grieving Aaron's presence. But the show itself really leaned on Aaron and Rob's friendship as the heartbeat of the show. And so with Aaron gone, you got Rob, who's kind of down. Stephanie and Amy and Jordan are all kind of there. They even miss Aaron, because for them they would much rather Rob be gone. So it's like they gotta sit there and look at Rob, who I'd probably say has a little revenge in his eyes. You know, we know what Rob came here to do. He's going to stop at nothing to beat these people. And so they have to now deal with that. So, yeah, Aaron leaving is going to just weigh heavy on this entire episode.
Jenny, how did it feel for you to know that you are Aaron's favorite on the podcast?
I don't believe that is actually what he said.
No.
I think he just said that I was nice. I think he said
nice. He said like, his favorite. He stands Jenny Queen.
I must have got. I must have my podcast feed must have had a different version. I don't think he said that. Yeah. I mean, Aaron knows that. You know. That I loved him. He was really great, and I will say the vibes were off. Not having him in this
the episode tonight.
Yes, because like we said, like, you know, it starts off on a kind of a sad note. Even though Stephanie said she doesn't feel bad about it, like, you know, she's like, she obviously wanted Rob gone, but Aaron being gone isn't like the worst for her either. But I feel like, you know, Rob had been saying it. He's like, I'm nothing without you in this game. And I felt like we finally saw, like, he was alone. Like, that was Rob has been kind of on an island in this game, not like literally the Banker's Island, but like he's been on his own in a way for weeks in this show, because he became, you know, public enemy #1, and he had like a few last, you know, friends, and it was mostly just Aaron. And so as long as Aaron was still in the game, like, Rob still had someone to like kind of bounce things off of, talk a little bit of game with. And without Aaron there, it really became like just him on his own. And it's not that ends up being like what throws him off his game here, but I'm just saying, like, I just felt like his energy was a little different without Aaron there. And I felt like the whole vibe of everything, it really just felt like Rob is on his own.
Did either of you see that leading up to the episode last week, that the Deal or No Deal Island social media team posted like a FaceTime call between Boston Rob and Aaron? Did either of you watch this?
No.
I've been like occasionally like taking a couple days off of social media here and there, so I think I might have
social media has been wild. I mean, that Boston Rob posted like the Taylor Swift clip of "You Wouldn't Last an Hour in the Asylum," where they raised me, and it was Deal or No Deal Island. I don't know, but they raised Boston Rob on Deal or No Deal Island.
He was raised on another island.
But then it was like it was a FaceTime call, and it was like Aaron was getting a FaceTime from Boston Rob, and then it was like their whole conversation, and Boston Rob was like, it was like he watched the preview. He's like, "Hey, Aaron, you up to something? You up to no good? What are you're trying to play me? What's going on?" It was like that they were living it in real time, but Boston Rob saw the trailer and he's like, no, nothing's up. I guess you gotta wait and see. He's like, you better not be up to something. You better not try to get smart. And Boston Rob is like, hey, don't forget, I taught you everything you know, but I didn't teach you everything that I know.
How did I this is incredible.
Watch it. He's like, I guess you gotta watch
Instagram
it.
on the DONDI Instagram.
I saw it on the DONDI Twitter.
Okay, man, I mean, listen, they have to capture that magic. Like,
look, I can't wait to see what they drop for the finale.
Are they gonna be there? Like, do you think the other contestants will be there? Involved in some way? Do you think that they're going to be
on social media? I don't know what they're going to do in the episode.
Well, because I'm like, that was one thing I was wondering is, you know, when the final, you know, the Banker's main opponent or whatever it is, like, whatever they've been calling it, will they be playing Deal or No Deal with like the audience?
Yeah,
which it's you know, it's like the jury. I don't know.
Kim Mattina is back. Like, boo.
Oh no, it's Kim Mattina. She's like, whatever.
Yeah,
I'm Kim Mattina.
Claudia Jordan hits her with a steel chair.
Yeah, like, oh no, it's Claudia Jordan's music. Yeah,
and then we check in. we check in with Alyssa versus Stephanie round 2. Ding,
oh
ding,
my
ding.
God.
Like, we go right into the reunion. Like,
we need some Ponderosa videos for what happened when Aaron got back to Ponderosa.
Yeah, but Aaron. He's like, this
Yeah.
is how it is out here on Dylan on the island. He's like, oh, we love Aaron.
I want to see like the person who's guessing in the final game, like, open, like, get a case open, and it's exciting, and then they like go to the crowd and they're like giving everyone high fives, like they're hyping them up.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like
I think
let's
they need
bring
that. You're
energy
right.
up. They
You're
do.
right. I think they, like, you can't just have like it be like empty Banker's Temple and it's like, one person is playing,
just them and
like,
Joe.
the loser is like golf clapping, like.
No, I do need the losers though on the in the episode. Like I need them in like a little box where they're all sitting next to each other, and some of them are looking disapproving, like they're rooting against him. That's what I need.
Yeah, you need all of them. I was thinking that like you can't just have like the second place person like doing a golf clap. You need the whole crowd.
Bring back Branson. Yeah, bring back Branson. I want to talk to Branson.
Yeah.
Here's the thing though, is like, even though it very evident from the exit interviews that Chappell has done all season that some of these people do still have a little bit of bad blood for each other. The thing about the show is whoever is going to end up in that final spot, you have to know that if the others were there watching them compete in the final Deal or No Deal, they're rooting for them, because it's like, what else are you rooting for? That's all the money. Like, you're rooting for no one to have money, and for this all.
I think some of them are rooting for nobody to have money.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I don't have true pettiness in my soul. But
Chappell, you talked to them. Some of them are rooting for them to have no money, right?
Like, if it would, but that's the thing, is like, okay, if it's Stephanie who's the final person, Alyssa is probably rooting for her to not have money. But I would say like the bulk of these people, the alternative isn't somebody else getting money. It's not you getting money. It's so like, at a certain point, you'd have to be like, what do I gain from this like negativity in my life? And then maybe that's just me being
wise
a little
words.
too like,
yeah,
let it all go, kind of.
I mean, y'all could listen to Jenny and be a healthy human, or you could listen to me and be petty. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I'm showing up at the final episode and I'm rooting against you. I'm sorry, it's true. I've done the exit interviews, and yeah, there's still a little bit of bad blood between this cast, and I think it's a lot fresher, like 1 or 2 days off the island as they would be in this situation. And yeah, I could just see it. Alyssa, Rob, Aaron, all like boo hissing from the crowd, and Stephanie is like trying to win, and the crowd's like boo, and she's like who they hold to the Night Owls, and it's only 3 supporters. It's them against the world. Yeah, give me that. I like that pettiness. Like, turn that up a little bit. Because why did we see all these fights and stuff like that for everybody to just come to the end and be like, we're adults, we're mature, we're all grown-ups, let's support our friend? No, if you're not going to give them a vote, at least let them look menacing in the corner. That's what I need.
But I think when like the alternative is like the money doesn't go, like the money goes to this banker that apparently we all hate, especially Aaron. And like, at least with Survivor, where you get down to a final 3 or final 2 or a Big Brother, and it's a vote, it's like the alternate, you're giving money to someone. It's like this person. So it's like, if you really just didn't like how someone played and you don't want to reward them with money, then the alternative is giving the money to another person, which you can maybe still feel good about and be like, maybe you didn't do a great job of the game or whatever, but I feel better giving you money than this person. Do you think that if people had the choice to just give nobody money in votes more often, that like that would actually be way more of a thing?
Yeah, I do. I think people would abstain. Like, I'd be like, I'm sorry. I don't. No, I can't give you.
I want the company that runs the show to keep this
Jenny.
money.
This isn't some socialist nation that the banker is running here.
No, Jenny just don't got real hate in her heart.
Okay.
Yeah, you ain't got this American hate in your heart that some of us got. Like when you grow up in the trenches here in the ghetto in the USA, you just get a real good just like I don't know where this money is going or where it's coming from, but you ain't getting it. And I don't care what it takes. I might. Yeah, when you said it, I was like, yeah, you just ain't no real hater. And that's okay. Some people don't, some people not built for that. I on the other hand, I'm the people that are.
Yeah.
I thought maybe I was a little petty, but like as I'm talking it through, I don't know, but maybe it's just I can't put myself in those shoes because I'm not feeling those emotions. Maybe I don't know.
I'm not feeling those emotions either, but these shoes slipped right on my feet. I said, no, mind on it. I know. I
You were
understand.
picturing someone next to Joe Manganiello, and you're like, I do not want that MFer to win.
No,
anything.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Nope.
I hear you.
There's one other thing I want to just mention about the episode tonight. I just want to give a little bit of love to Amy, who this season, that she's been on the other side of Rob, but she has just been the ultimate backstabber. She'll say anything to anybody. She'll throw anything against the wall just to get by. I love to see it. There was a couple of moments in this episode. She goes to Rob and she's like, hey, this is it. This is our time. We'll be number one, me and you. And like we'll go to the end. And Rob's like, okay, yeah, all right, finally.
I've been waiting for this,
What have you been
Amy?
waiting for, Amy? Like, all right, I gotta go get back. And he's like,
Yeah.
she's playing with crayons and the glue stick and the sandbox. But that was a great moment. And then in the maze, when I think it's Stephanie says, her like, oh, okay, which way do we go? Amy's like, just go back and go right.
Go right. No matter what you do,
okay?
Go right.
And Stephanie's like, okay, thanks.
It was Stephanie and Jordan because Stephanie, even though she was ahead of Jordan she entered the maze quicker, had no idea what she was doing, and eventually just started following Jordan. So she's like throwing the two of them off the path. You know what? Amy was incredible casting. No matter how this turns out, it hurts me a little bit to know that I'm actually in a situation where I'm rooting against Amy so that Rob can make it out here, because ideally having the two of them at the end is so much fun to me.
Yeah.
So
she was very funny all through the season, had a bunch of good moments. And then, and of course, with telling Rob, like, there was only 3 cases. There's no more cases back there.
There's no more cases.
Believe me.
You might as well turn around. He's like, ma'am, get out of the way.
He's like, the map had like 4 cases drawn in both spots. Like, you're trying to tell me that I don't even know if the map did that, but he's like, get out of here.
She was fighting for her life. She was fighting for her life.
You love to see it. That's all we can
You have to do whatever you can in the situation. Amy, and I loved that Amy explained that, all through the season, she's been paying attention and taking notes on things, hoping that it would come in handy at some point. And it does come in handy because she's the person that gets the number that she needs to give her that physical head start that she clearly, truly needed. At certain points all through the episode, everyone is acknowledging those little legs can only take you so far. Like, she's scrappy as hell. We've seen it. But her running through the maze with those zebra pants on and like they were all wearing like bright fluorescent shirts, I think probably so that they were more like visible in the maze or whatever. I felt like it was like Snooki running down the boardwalk.
No,
like it was just like it was incredible.
Yes.
And it hurt me to be.
Do we think Snooki could be the banker?
Yes. Yes. Let Nicole be the banker. No, look, Snooki has given a lot to reality TV. It would be only fitting for us to start giving back and letting her get some of, shine in some of these other game shows. But you just brought up a good idea to me as far as I'm concerned, Jenny. Celebrity DONDI. Where it's all celebrities instead of just Boston Rob and Claudia. I'm just saying, people are all throwing their hats in the ring for the traders, but I mean, we could open the door to other options.
Here's the thing. They did a good job with the casting outside of Rob and outside of Claudia. All of these new to reality TV people that we got on this cast, I felt like it was still maybe they got overshadowed at points because you've got like a seasoned reality TV veteran in Rob giving you exactly what you need every episode. But like the other characters all really brought it. And I believe in the show's ability to do another new person cast and have it hit. My complaint, this is the same complaint I have with all reality shows. I hate this half and half shit. Like, do all people that have some sort of reputation or do none. I don't it's incredible that Rob got as far as he did, and possibly, does get to the end here. We don't know. given the fact that there was such a target on him just for being who he is. Like, this man had to have the craziest luck throughout the season just to avoid being eliminated in so many instances. If this was a different game format, he would be cooked. And so I love the idea of, get all sorts of reality TV or celebrities or what have you onto a Deal or No Deal format. I think it'd be really fun. I also think it's like a lower commitment than a lot of these other shows in terms of time.
Okay.
They're glamping. They're not like really roughing it. So I would love it. But I do think if they're going to do season 2, just regular people again, just do regular people.
Maybe let's ask Joe tomorrow what he's thinking.
Yeah. I hope
okay,
you'll tell
for
us.
Deal or No Deal season 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else from episode 11? Okay, then let's leave it there. We're going to have the chance to sit down with Joe Manganiello coming up on Tuesday and get his thoughts on the season and preview the finale, the final 4, a little bit more with Joe. We're very excited for that one. Make sure you're subscribed either to the podcast. Go to robbinswebsite.com/subscribe, or make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're watching us here on YouTube. And we'll be back on Tuesday with that. And then 1 week from now, we'll have the finale coverage of DONDI. Jenny,
DONDI.
We've been busy in the last week or so on another island. Actually, is Canada an island?
No.
But okay. But,
well, unless you think of like North America as an island.
Yes.
Or something.
Okay. But we've been talking about MILF Manor.
Yes. The MILFs are back, and
The MILFs, big fans of Joe Manganiello.
I bet.
They would be absolutely eating him up, covered in maple syrup, I would assume. And what a ridiculous show. I think we learned our lesson last season in that, like, it was maybe not the best show at times, but it was such a ridiculous concept that, like, we didn't cover the whole thing, and I felt like we left, gold on the table or the floor or something. So this time we're not letting MILF Manor go uncovered, and they're not letting themselves go uncovered either. So Puya is the MILF master, and we've been able to check in here and there, and I am so excited that this is happening. So that's been fun.
Are you one of the MILF maids?
MILF maids, yes.
I mean, at least that's an easy one to come up with, like a name for the fans of the podcast. So that's been fun. And as well, last week, Kirsten and I did a little why you should tune into the new rebranded F-Girl Island, which is called now Lovers and Liars. That was really fun. We kind of did a little recap of the first 3 episodes. So you can check that out on the Hot Dummies on Island feed, and then the MILF Manor coverage on the 90 Day Fiancé feed. And other than that,
And
in Chicago.
And not to mention that check out Jenny and Chappell talking about the GOAT.
Yeah. That's gonna be
GOAT.
The newest hit or quit franchise.
Yes. Chappell and I, we can't keep us away from each other. When there's some new hotness around the corner. So the GOAT is coming out later this week, I believe.
Later this week.
And so there will be coverage of that as well here on the Hit or Quit feed with Chappell and I, and I'm very excited about that as well. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of that, because I think it's gonna be a great time.
And then Chappell, what's coming up for you?
Oh, all the things that y'all were just talking about. I can't wait to talk about the GOAT for sure. Like, that's going to be so much fun. Jenny and I are going to keep it appropriate, just as we did for House of Villains, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously.
Right, because we always gonna hit, we'll never quit, and so can't wait for people to check that out. Of course, check me out on my own podcast, Recap Kickback, where I'm doing a lot of podcasting about stuff I want to talk about. Recently, Mari and I talked about the Good Times reboot with our guest Tyrone. Then we got reached out to by the writers of the show, and they had strong opinions about what we talked about. And so
were they
this week
mad or happy?
they said it was honest critique. So I've been contacted, and we are exchanging information because we're going to try to line up a conversation with the people behind that work. But since we were talking about satire, we're also going to run back the clock and compare it to a show like The Boondocks this week, where it is like, hey, you know, they're both satire, but why does one work? Why does the other not work? Check that out on Recap Kickback to see what Mari and I had to think about all of that, and then keep up with it because you never know who might pop in on Recap Kickback. Also, you have Sasha and I over there covering Summer House Martha's Vineyard, and then Sasha and I are covering Below Deck on the RHAP Bravo Wrap-Ups feed, and so you can catch me in all of those places. But I did this cool guest spot recently on the Was It Good Though podcast, and we talked about 1996's The Nutty Professor with Eddie Murphy, and it was a clown show. I had so much fun over there, so check it out and go leave them a comment and let them know I sent you to the Was It Good Though podcast. But yeah, people just follow me on all social media at Recap Kickback to keep up with all that and more.
Okay, and then check out everything else we're doing here on RHAP Has a Podcast. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Love to read your comments as well. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.